Well, we come a long way, yes we have. We've come a long way, you know we did. It's been many years, look what we have done. We'll build this foundation, one that we can work from. And we've opened our hearts and we've opened our eyes. Walk through the doorway and let's use our minds. Use our minds.
It's quite profound, really. I think that it just started as a little teeny idea, and that has just continued to explode.
When you think about CU and you think about Boulder, it's a lot of smart people doing a lot of good things for a long time. And that doesn't happen everywhere. When the Environmental Center was founded on Earth Day of 1970, you know, first environmental center of its kind in the nation. Why? Well, because the town, my theory is, the town attracted good people.
You know, putting those three things together, the students, the support of the professional staff, and having some money to get things done is a very powerful combination. And I think there are very few places in the country that have that kind of a combination.
In December, we had a meeting at Hale, and it was faculty, it was staff, it was students, and it was people in town. And all the people had heard about Barre Commoner's call for an Earth Day in 1970 in April. I went with the student contingent, and we got an office space. We had the teaching on the 19th, 20th, and 21st, and 22nd was Earth Day itself. We know that we had over 25,000 people sign the guest books. In May, everybody disappeared. But one of the things we had said is we're not going to close up shop, we're going to leave everything in the office, we're going to start a center. The Environmental Communications Organization, which was to be an umbrella group. We sat down and designed the ideal organization for effectiveness to facilitate student action. It took a year to get a telephone. It took 4 weeks to get furniture for the office. I went to Mr. Persky and said, "Can we paint the furniture?" He said, "Sure, you can do anything you want with it." So we painted it bright pink and bright yellow and had daisies and flowers, and you do the finest hippie trip you ever want, and that is the office. The semester that I left, the students had voted $1 a student a semester to environmental concerns. And we put together a board called the Eco Board. The whole point of the environmental board was to be sure that the money was being spent on environmental reasons. That was really what we were about, was to get a system going that was separate than the system that existed. We were looking for alternatives, alternative lifestyles, alternative love styles, alternative ways of making a living.
Great and dear memories come to mind when we talk about the Environmental Center at CU. I got involved in the early 70s with 1972 Earth Day events. It was a very active time of anti-nuclear, anti-war, as well as pro-solar and renewable energy. We explored and researched and created education programs for in the early 70s regarding renewable energy and how to get these technologies out of the backyard and garages and into people's homes and into industry. So it was a great time to get students involved in environmental activities. It was a time with a lot of experimentation, a lot of sharing and breaking down the walls of the different departments on campus to really look at holistic environmental planning and thinking. So it was a very exciting time, albeit controversial.
A lot of things that stand out. I think probably the thing that I thought of first was my involvement in helping to organize the first mass protest against Rocky Flats. It turned out there was somewhere between 5,000 and 15,000 people there, and then that was just the start of a series of mass protests. Sea recycling had been kind of an initial volunteer effort. You know, I could really see that, you know, you need to staff up a project like that. So that was kind of the beginnings, the seeds of getting that to be a more professional, fully staffed effort. There was a lot of environmental activism, but there was also starting to be a backlash. It's not like the Environmental Center wasn't without threats. During my time, there was definitely threats to its existence.
When I came on, the Environmental Center was technically in what was called some sort of budget probation. I ended up with a really remarkable student board for the Environmental Board, and they started latching on to program ideas, guest speakers, film programs. We did 2 major environmental conferences each year. As the Environmental Center became more visible and attracted more involvement, there was kind of an odd backlash. There was another kind of coalition of more conservative-minded student groups. There was kind of a tussle among the student groups over whether all this new environmental visibility was a good thing for students or not. And it just kind of added to the excitement. The consciousness of energy was just kind of getting started. The UMC board was doing retrofits of the building to make more energy efficient appliances and lighting and air conditioning and heating systems. People were starting to get in on this idea, and so it was a novel notion then, and it's that much more exciting to look back now and realize that was the beginning of a very powerful worldwide consciousness. This was the time that I really think that CU recycling came of age. When I first started, the recycling program was scrambling to get enough newspaper to generate enough revenue to even keep operating at all. We had our volunteers jumping into dumpsters, pulling out newspaper in order to get every scrap we could. There were some of the amazing speakers, some of the legendary speakers that we brought to. David Brower, to me, is a legend of environmental activism. Being able to encounter folks like that and let our student body encounter legendary people like that was really a highlight.
It felt a lot of stuff bubbling and fermenting and coming to fruition during those 8 years. It really was, I think, the happiest 8 years of my life. Just the upwelling, sort of young energy and enthusiasm and excitement was just fabulous. The students themselves were just so motivated and masterful, and they just made things happen. It was just wonderful to watch. It was a very time of agitation and protest and demonstration, and Dave Foreman would come to the UMC, and he'd give speeches, and he would end by howling like a wolf, and the entire 900 people would all be howling, and we'd all take to the streets and go out into western Colorado and sit down in front of logging trucks. It was a wild and wonderful time, basically. Trends going on in the environment at that time were, of course, recycling.
I was among the first paid employees in student government's investment in recycling back in 1979. Going on 30 years involved in recycling, and it continues to be fresh and exciting. The recycling program has evolved from almost a purely environmental token effort, if you will, with very little recovery by a group of very dedicated, committed individuals, to something that has become a financially viable option that's diverting significant tonnage from our landfills into new feedstocks or new commodities for the industry. So I think CU has evolved along with the rest of the recycling industry. In fact, in some ways, we set the pace for them to evolve too. I think a large part of it was due to the camaraderie and the spirit and the good parties, frankly, that we had to keep ourselves tight and moving in the same direction. The day that we won MTV's National Recycling Contest stands out in my mind as an opportunity for CU to exert some real leadership in the country.
University of Colorado at Boulder, nestled at the foot of the scenic Rocky Mountains, the winners of MTV's Earth Day contest. The students at the University of Colorado collected more pounds of recyclable material per student than any other in the nation. And it's a real hive of activity here on this Earth Day.
That's due mainly to taking a neighborly approach to recycling.
The day that we got the $500,000 loan from CU to build the recycling facility was another important accomplishment, which demonstrated recycling's financial ability on campus, quite frankly. I can remember a day when private garbage haulers scoffed at us when we predicted that someday their trash trucks would be hauling recyclables. And here we have that as a commonplace activity right now. When we said that someday more people would recycle than vote, we were laughed out of the room. And now we have recycling rates that are increasing each year, and that is what I would call a successful achievement by any standard, that we've arrived.
I cannot believe what Will and Jack and Ed have done. I thought that the Environmental Center was sort of at its apogee when I left. I think they took that budget like sky high. Will kind of integrated it with the city, and he was just a visionary that took it to places I could never have taken it. It was just so lucky that I got out of his way. I think I was good for that period, but then it was time to have some of those early innovative things institutionalized.
My name is Will Tudor from the CU Environmental Center. On behalf of the Environmental Center, I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. This is a pretty unique opportunity to hear a couple of the most visionary thinkers in the modern environmental movement. And there's real opportunities to get involved and make a difference. One of the things that I think is really interesting to me is just the change in the nature of the Environmental Center's role on campus from the early 90s till today. We were, I think, really known as kind of a scrappy activist organization that got things done, which I think is still the case. But the only sort of real on-the-ground program that was in place that was changing the way things were done on campus was the CU recycling program. And what really struck me was the extent to which students during the 1990s just dove in a really practical way to just create this whole suite of programs that really started changing how the campus functioned. You know, now you have the recycling program, the transportation programs, the energy programs, the sustainability fund. So there's a much broader involvement.
You know, the E-Center was really not as internally focused on sustainability on campus. It was very global in its focus. I think it really started to become more embedded into the mission of the Environmental Center through the evolution of the Campus Earth Summits. That was a way to put to identify where there could be changes made on campus and to engage other departments and the administration. That just became a year-long type of activity.
When it comes to the city of Boulder, I think that the Environmental Center has really helped make the University of Colorado a laboratory for, you know, new innovations. And it's really provided a lot of the center of mass that has allowed these things to happen community-wide. I think transportation is the one where it's probably, you know, the clearest. When CU students in 1991 and 1992 voted to create and then implemented the student bus pass program, it was immediately this enormous success where student transit use tripled overnight. It created a ripple effect where other universities started looking at that success and started doing the same thing. And you know, the success of the student bus pass program created so much demand for transit that it made it possible for the city, working with RTD, to create the network of the hop, the skip, the jump, the bound. So that was something that really had ripples, you know, well beyond the campus itself. Similarly, when it comes to bicycle infrastructure, I think it's the fact that we have so many students who bicycle and so many faculty and staff that gives enough demand to justify the investments in really high quality bicycle infrastructure that then attract more people. And so I think there's really kind of not a vicious cycle, but a virtuous cycle there that we've seen. One of the moments that really stands out to me was when the university was trying to figure out how to build 4 major new academic buildings. And I still remember this meeting where one of the students was sitting there in a meeting with the Vice Chancellor for Administration and was, you know, laying out they wanted to see LEED Gold standards for the new buildings. And the administrator was sort of resisting and saying, you know, don't know if that's feasible and practical. And then the student, his name was Eugene Pearson, said, so if I were a private donor and I was coming forward with $100 million for these buildings, and the condition on that donation was LEED Gold standards, would the university say no? And I just saw the administrator sort of sat back, thought about that for a minute, then put out his hand and said, we've got a deal. And it was just that sort of combination of, you know, people having a sort of real clear activist stance, wanting to change things, but having such a clear sense of how do you actually practically go about making things happen. That's, you know, to me, that's what the E-Center is all about.
Since I got here, the Environmental Center has moved from being the driver of change on campus to now the facilitator and the coordinator of change among an array of departments and staff that weren't doing it previously but are doing it now because of all that leadership. Even in these tough times, sustainability and climate action are being funded and executed, and we're doing a lot of really great things. And not just the Environmental Center, but housing, PTS, facilities management, EH&S, the faculty. Of course, more student activism than ever. My favorite program is the one we haven't launched yet. It's a real, robust education for sustainability program. I'll tell you, it is an honor to work with such great people. The staff and the students at the Environmental Center are simply extraordinary. I know every May, and Marianne will get a kick out of this, we cry together because we lose all these great students. And we get pretty attached to them. So, how's it affect you personally? You can see it.
And so when they do graduate and go into the wider world, their stories are just amazing of how many students have gone on to achieve great things and are changing the world right now as we speak. And they probably wouldn't be doing a lot of that if they didn't have the experience they first gained at the Environmental Center.
It's an anarchy with protective personnel. The umbrella is the staff. They are making it possible for someone with a harebrained idea to run it past a grown-up with some power and get put in place so that they can do the job that they want to do.
That there are so many opportunities where we still need to engage and can readily become inspired to be engaged in keeping the planet healthy. Because that opportunity is always there, because the threats are always there, and the need for involvement is always there, a place like this has people who need it.
I think the fact that the Environmental Center has really worked very hard to make sure that when we would create new programs that they were successful, and you know, people love success. So if you create programs that don't work, you know, you tend not to last.
The main ingredient is the students.
I think it's a testament to the students.
So many of these huge initiatives that were like, well, do you think we could do this? They only have happened because of the student drive behind it. They weren't going to come up with it over in Regent Hall by themselves. That's not the way things work.
Our Environmental Center has flourished, frankly, over the last 40 years due to unwavering student commitment.
I think the fact that over the years the Environmental Center has tended to have student leadership that's pretty savvy.
Working at the Environmental Center has changed the entire course of my life, of my career. You know, we're advocating for behavioral change that may not be the social norm, and you do kind of put yourself out there as being different or weird or whatever. And so I love all those opportunities to change social norms.
Working for the Environmental Center has been one of the most positive, inspiring, gratifying, stimulating opportunities that I've ever had.
The Environmental Center has had a profound impact in my life, in the direction it's headed and where I want to take it.
The students and the staff that I've had the opportunity to work with have just been really dedicated to what to what they do, and that sort of dedication and commitment to sustainability and education is incredibly contagious.
I would say that it's really motivated me every day. So that's really been probably one of my biggest highlights of my 4 years here on campus, is working with the Environmental Center and all the experts and motivated students we have here, and transforming that into policy that can have ripple effects throughout this country. And so that's really shown me the power of students and the power of the Environmental Center.
I have a son who's almost 4, Cooper, and I'm not the only one at the Environmental Center that has little people in their lives. When I began working at the Environmental Center, he was still just such a small person, and over the course of the last couple of years, he's grown into this just really dynamic, really wonderful little small steward. One thing that's been of great importance to me, and that I've thought about a lot in my work at the Environmental Center, is how what we're doing here is going to affect his generation. You know, what's this planet going to look and feel like when he's my age, when he's 30? Gosh, what's it going to look like when he's 10? You know, I want him to grow up knowing what he's protecting and why it's so important.
The future is full of infinite possibilities for our students and for this campus.
There is uncharted waters, and it's so much fun to be in them. It's not scary, it's just a whole big fun sea of possibilities.
This is a very exciting time for sustainability. If you can dream it and if you can work toward it, we have a good chance of accomplishing it.
You know, will we be able to become a zero waste campus? Probably. Why not? I mean, let's try. Can we be a car-free campus? Why not? And what about being a zero-energy campus and a climate-neutral campus? And all these goals that we've set forth sound maybe lofty, but the way things are happening so fast, there's no reason why we can't be shooting for that, and I think that's going to become the next norm.
We're gonna keep moving on, we're never gonna stop. We're gonna keep moving on, cause it's the right thing to do. Look down the road, and what do you see? It's all of you people who will set this planet free. And we've opened our hearts, and we've opened our eyes. Walk through the doorway, and let's use our minds. Use our minds. Let's use our minds.
Yeah, happy 40th. Woohoo! Let's celebrate.
Right on, Environmental Center. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to returning for the 50th.
There is so much to do, and we just need to remember why we're doing this and keep going. And the reasons to celebrate are enormous.
Well, certainly to celebrate heartily, because this is such a good thing, and to take that opportunity to just affirm another 40 years.
Go us! The feeling of, does this matter? Is this going to make a difference? It matters. Everything anybody's ever done with the Environmental Center matters. It matters to all the students that we don't know, that we don't talk to, and it changes lives, and thank you.
Sustainability!
I think it's worth celebrating 40 years of great achievements, and I think it's time, with global climate change on the horizon, for us to renew our commitment.
Just keep this great tradition going. Just let it grow and evolve and...
Wow!
Well, to my friends and colleagues and co-workers here at the university and beyond, I'd have to say thanks. It's been a great ride. As one of my favorite bands say, it's been a long, strange trip, and we look forward to continuing it, upholding the great tradition that we've built here over the years. Did I mention something about the good parties that we'll continue to have?
Thank you for all of you. Thank you for all you've done. You've really changed the world.
And I have to butcher Isaac Newton though a little bit here and say, you know, if we can see a little farther, it's because, you know, we stand on the shoulder of giants, and the giants are in the room.
If you told me in 1970 you'd still be here in 2010, I'd have said, yeah, and pigs will fly. But with genetic modification, it may happen.